files. So I just moved all those over. So I'll email you a list of all the files I have, which aren't up to date, but I think they include a whole bunch of early ones that maybe some of which you don't have. And that way we can make sure we both have, everything we've done. And I can probably get, do a file exchange with what you have that's more recent, and maybe you can, if you don't have them, download some of the ones that I have
Oh,
that
that's cool
are older.
because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch. I have a bunch of them too. Back when I had been calling for some reason uh our name the House of the Rising Sun, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, that's a pretty cool name for a uh, a uh, course on a thing of a Course of Miracles.
Yeah, yeah.
But House of the Rising Sun, yeah, that's it. That's what we are. But yeah, I have tons of those House of the Rising Sun ones that
Okay.
are just in a form somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, I have so much in my Dropbox. If they started charging, oh, they do charge me. So, all right. So here we are with Bruce Rawls and Lynn Johnson, and we're reading A Symphony of Love. Well, you've got it. You can tell us what we're reading.
I'll
You do
it's
it.
okay. I put it in my calendar item so I don't have to look it up each time. It's the title of the book that we're reading from is A Symphony of Love, and subtitle is Selections of Dr. Kenneth Wapnick's Writings, Autobiographies, plural, Poetry, which we're about to read today, Short Stories and Articles edited by Gloria Wapnick. And that's from the Foundation for A Course in Miracles. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
of
much.
course.
Ah, gosh.
And we're starting off with Beethoven, obviously a primary inspiration for our dear friend Ken.
Absolutely. Yeah, just really quickly here. So my son, he's like really into all these things that are happening, and he's looking for it for some sort of reason other than the world is, batshit crazy. He's looking at it as, there's other forces, there's probably aliens, there's probably he has a whole a whole mythology in his mind about what's going on. So sort of like I do and you do and we all do. But
Uh-huh.
in his mythology, he's looking at the fact that we haven't really had any snow in Colorado. In fact, our weather has just been unseasonably warm,
That's
as
what I've
is
been hearing. Yeah.
everyone over here, right?
Yep.
And so he has this thought that if, pretty soon our our climate here in Colorado will be like the climate in Las Vegas, which is really not that different. And he lives in Grand Junction, so he's kind of in that little valley area anyway.
Uh-huh.
And so he says, "Mom, what are we going to do if it starts turning like that? If we get a bunch of fires, what are we going to do? We got to move. We got to go somewhere." And so he looked and looked, and his thing to come where we're going to move to, Oregon. So there we
Well,
might
and Oregon has its share of fires too, so
Well, but it's not going to turn into a desert. He doesn't
it
want to live in
might
the
take a
desert.
while, but there
So,
actually Eastern Oregon pretty much is a desert. In fact,
that
when we went back from Arizona 6 months ago, the second trip with all of us in one vehicle, my wife and two cats and I, we realized that it's not until you get to around Bend, traveling through a great deal of Eastern Oregon, that you really kind of get out of the desert finally and
yeah,
into the
yeah,
timber.
Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon,
Yeah,
yeah, they're desert, and
yeah.
that's what Carrie is saying in the Pow Talk room. Yeah, Oregon is mostly desert, but
Well, yeah,
I didn't want to bust his bubble there, but
the left hand quarter, 30% or whatever is rather foresty.
yeah,
But
well,
other than that, yeah, it's mostly desert
mostly,
ish.
yeah,
Yeah.
mostly. I was actually recommending British Columbia or Alaska. Of course, I'll always opt for Alaska, and if I
Northern
could ever get
exposure, huh?
Oh my, I love Alaska. If I ever could get my family to move to Alaska, I think I would be ecstatically happy, but they're all afraid of cold weather, so that's why we live in Colorado.
Well, it hasn't been very cold here, actually. So, anyway,
No.
in
Yeah.
fact, we almost had some snow. It was in the forecast a couple of times. Now that we're into the first full day of spring. Um, two or three times this winter here in the Portland suburbs. The forecast was for a little dusting of snow, but when I looked outside, I couldn't see any. So anyway, didn't happen here.
Well, look harder.
Okay.
You might find it. All right. So we are
On
in
on the
what?
mountain peaks, yeah. Like a Mount Hood, plenty, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I
Although
said. We don't have to move over there. All we have to do is move higher. So, I mean, you could easily move to Leadville, um,
there you go.
which is, kind of deserty anyway. I mean, it is deserty up there, but,
Well,
I
of
don't.
course, that to take Ken Wapnick's kind of nudging us back into our usual topic. One of his favorite sayings is, and I think this was that. I think it might have been in Absence from Felicity. It's been several months now since we read it, so it's like, was that in there? And it was the his quote of, what do you do when you realize you're in the desert? You leave, right?
You
But
leave. Yeah.
he's talking about psychological desert, which of course is the ego thought system. So,
Right.
so if you happen to live in a geographic desert what do you call it, environmental desert, um, you know, I actually enjoyed our over 2 years in Arizona quite a lot, and there's a lot of things I really like about it, and stuff I even miss about it already. But there's so much in Oregon, and there's every place we've lived has been really nice in some ways. So
It's because you're
it's all
there.
part of the mix of pluses and minuses in a dualistic world, right?
Right. And I mean, you could say, oh, well, if I really wanted to live someplace perfect, I'd move to Hawaii or I'd move to, I mean, but there's no place in this world, um, in this world that is going to satisfy us.
Mm-mm.
And that's a big plus because,
Yeah.
the minute we start getting satisfied, um, then we forget about what we're really here for,
Hmm.
which is, to be remember who we are. So, all right. So
Yeah.
we are reading Ken's poetry, and I think we can just read the whole thing without stopping to discuss in the midst, unless you want to.
I think that's a great idea. At
Yeah,
least each poem anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Each poem is what I'm
He's
thinking.
got two poems about Beethoven, and then the next one is Exclamations of a Burning Heart. And yeah, maybe we should just read each poem straight through and then pause after each one to for any comments. That sounds like a good plan, huh?
All right, that sounds like a plan. All right. Well, you want me to read? I'll read the
Sure.
first one.
Don't you
Okay.
read
We'll just alternate.
why
Okay.
don't you read Beethoven 1 and 2?
Okay.
Yeah.
To Beethoven, one. As out of a whirlwind you come to us, dynamic spirit of the world. From far off lands so distantly familiar, your call reaches our departing shores. You burst, hurl forth with cataclysmic thrust, wrestling imperious mountains from their base, majestic pillars of ages now shattered against the cry of your soul. And then, soft as a gentle breeze, in tender caress of our most secret fears, your touch, born of the love only a mother can feel for her breast-filled child, and we are stilled. It kind of goes through the whole, like a Beethoven symphony, boom, 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 ba, 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 da, da, da. So, yes.
Hmm.
Two, as the shy prophet before the bush of fire, we stand before your flame, red incandescence ablaze with the heat of the gods, and humbled, fall prostrate with shielded eyes and trembling limbs. O Creator Mondurum, would we had your tongue to express the inexpressible, to render informed that which defies all world. Would the courage were ours to be all in one, to touch the forbidden source of all that is. Our very being would empty before you, rising to heaven in most sacred song of thanksgiving. Those are written on Labor Day of 1971.
Wow. No, they certainly waxes poetic as as I think of poetry anyway, and as certainly like a passionate and intense way with words that I think he was trying to convey the quality of Beethoven's music, which has a lot of intensity to it. And
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I was just trying to figure out what Mondorum meant, but it's probably something I don't know anything about.
well, mundo is world, so it's probably a Latin
Oh, creator of the
variation.
world.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
guessing. I'm guessing. I'll try Googling it too.
Yeah, that's probably the better idea because this guy didn't know what it was.
Let's see. Mundorum is the genitive plural of the Latin noun mundus, translating to of the worlds.
Of the
It is,
world.
it is commonly used in literature, occult text, and philosophical context to denote belonging to multiple worlds or realities, notably in the 17th century poem Mundorum Explicato by Samuel Portage.
Oh, wow.
That's an AI overview. Anyway,
I guess I forgot all about all that. So yeah. So he's writing this poetry. And what I find is interesting, besides the fact that it is very um it's very filled with passion. There's so much movement here. And then I'm also interested, of course, being as I am, in this form that he uses where, you know,
a lot of
this,
tabs.
yeah, deep indent here. It's like, is this how, yeah, I guess this must be how he intended it to be. But it
Intended and indented.
indented and intended. So it's given us and we didn't fall prostate, thank goodness, but we did fall prostrate.
Yeah, I
Um,
noticed that too.
but the movement of it um is very dynamic,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
artistic.
yep.
Yeah,
Shall I read the next one?
sure.
Okay. The next poem from Ken Wapnick is in this section two we're starting today. Exclamations of a Burning Heart. Aflame with love for you, my heart bursts out in fires that will never die. They leap to follow you and disappear into your love. Your name brings tears of rapturous joy to eyes made blind to all but the light your presence is. Beloved, I cling to you in embraces that do not cling. My world begins and ends in you. I take no breath, but that your presence does fill my heart, which scarcely can contain the love I feel for you. I soar to heaven, though my feet remain below. I think no thoughts that do not start and end in you. Your words consume my speech and thus become my own. All sorrows cease when you are here with me, and blacker than the blackest night, bereft of moon and stars, is my life when you seem gone. O dear one, what pain or sorrow can there be that your love cannot and does not heal? I cry for you, and at once you come. Your healing love, its saving work has done. Oh, my love, embrace me now that it become eternity, the moment of sweet bliss that reaches to forever. Take me into the arms of love that is the love. Still my soul, made mad by desires only you can fill. O beloved mine, let this instant be my life, for without it death has come, and life would be no more. Come, O lovely Lord of love, come and be forever. Your kiss of love is life, and nothing else but this is life for me. Oh, take me forever into your arms, that being consumed by you, I become like you. O beloved, take my heart's only desire and turn it into yourself. O dearest love, let me become not like you, but become you, that I may rest and be in peace at last. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking this would be beautiful if, like, you can put these things into AI and it'll make songs. And you
Hmm.
could ask it what voice to sing it in, and it could be, any kind of voice that they have. And, you could actually make this into a song and it would be perfectly beautiful.
I
And
I think it's pretty beautiful as
yeah,
it is already.
I do too. Yeah.
But yeah, sure that why not? Um, yeah, I'm thinking that um, the impact of that is that quality of yearning that it goes beyond the idea of need. And in fact, oftentimes write things that eventually might make it their way into a publicly available form. But I was thinking about what could be our heart's desire, and it the longing of every true heart, and um, so I just wrote this down early this morning. If you knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that your real identity was eternally innocent, lovable, loved, and loving, safe, secure, immune from any attack or opposition or deterioration, forever at peace, fulfilled beyond your wildest imagination, with nothing left out, would you need anything else? And I'm thinking, I think that's what the course is kind of leading us to. And Ken's poetry, I think, hints at that as well. And well, I've thought that was hopefully that mine, what I just read hints at as too. And because I think, if we really were to get into the heart of every mind, that's really all we want, you know.
Right.
What comes to mind is Joni Mitchell's song, all we really wanted was to come in from the rain. I don't know if you know that song or not, but
Yes.
but it's it's that what we I think everyone deeply wants is to feel that unconditional acceptance and know that it's not something that's not only it's not only bestowed on us, but it is us, and that we've denied our identity for so long that that's what we really long for. And yet the irony is that we are already it, but we've just covered it over with uh, a prodigal dream.
Yeah. And the way we know that we're already it is because we know what it is. We know
Yeah,
we
yeah,
know what it is.
right. I don't think
So
we
it
would.
can't be somewhere else.
Right. We wouldn't have been drawn to the course if we hadn't felt that. And then there are places in the course I think that typify that wistful, nostalgic quality, like the Forgotten Song, and um, other passages
Oh gosh, yeah, there's so many.
there's a lot, yeah, but that one just kind of comes to mind as a good
Deb had
example.
her
Less
hand
than
up.
182, that sort of thing. Oh, okay, I didn't see that.
Hi,
Yeah.
Lynn and Bruce, and I put it back down because I realize we don't usually comment, and you're probably already saying what I felt like sharing is
Oh, go,
this is
please go.
so profound because this is long before he knew about the course, and I didn't like I learned the course through other means, and I never resonated with Ken on YouTube, and I didn't come to the course, I think, until he had already passed. But many of the people who loved him I have come to meet and
Uh-huh.
appreciate. So I'm
Yeah.
being reappreciated to it. But I can't even, the man who wrote this poetry to doing the videos on YouTube in his 70s, I can't even correlate the two men. Like, this is
Uh,
so heartfelt, so
yeah.
touching, so
Yeah.
like, and it was in me too,
Uh,
long before I knew anything about
uh,
God.
uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh,
The longing for love, the beloved, the
yeah. Yeah.
just to understand this life really and this
Yes.
life force. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Anyway, I just am sorry for interjecting
Oh no, that's
comments.
perfectly appropriate and appreciated. And I think that adds to it because, we all have that same deep, profound nostalgia, probably not the best word, but just kind of a longing or
Isn't it the memory
a
of God?
memory. Yes, exactly. Yeah. We know that and one of the places in the courses that it talks about it is in order to not deny something, you must have once known it. And I think we've all known our real identity, and the course just reminds us that we've covered it over, and the way to uncover it is to unburn the imaginary bridge burning that we've done between each other, and which ultimately leads back to, through the sameness, back to the oneness with our Creator that we've never left. um, and seeing that same deep yearning in everyone we meet or think about, without exception. Like, and this last week, lesson 78, let miracles replace all grievances. Well, there's a very hands-on way to do that. It's just anyone that you think might be uh, missing out on you know some attribute that would make them whole. It's like, well, we call those things grievances, and we project what we think we're missing out onto the world, and as a way to try to push down the agony of the of believing that we pulled off this impossible crime of separation, right? So yeah, so thank you, Deb.
Yeah, beautiful. And yes. And yeah, believe me, just because when Bruce and I first started this, I don't think anybody else was awake. So like,
Yeah, you probably mean figurative, yeah, literally, but not.
literally awake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah. This is the earliest Zoom meeting I have every week, but I'm usually up long before this. So anyway,
yeah, well, yeah,
in
but
terms of getting out of bed, yeah.
so yeah, so it's definitely uh people are welcome to share their
Oh yeah, of course, of
experiences, which
course.
is,
Yeah.
and especially this stuff, because poetry is something that is extremely experiential. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
something that you can explain to anybody,
yeah.
and um, to say to somebody, oh beloved mine, let this instant be my life, for without it death has come, and life would be no more. That sounds like Shakespeare. And,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, people aren't going to say, well, if I don't have you, I'm going to go, I'm just going to die. But but it's a figurative death. It's not a literal
Yeah.
death.
Well, and,
Uh,
and of course, really, I think reminds us that the world that we think of as life, that is involving space and time and specifics, relative to our real identity, is a thought system and a world of death. And death and duality are equivalent. Oblivion and death, I think, are really um, synonymous. And if you think of if perfect oneness is all there is, truth is and nothing else is, the first part of that double statement is the truth is, most people would probably say, yeah, sure, truth is true, right? Um, but nothing else is true. Let me get back to you on that. And I think that's the part that that really is, we're acknowledging that what we made up is a living death. I mean, we're basically having a dream of zombiehood, trying to get home, and not knowing, where to begin to look. And that's why the course says, to stop looking outside. I mean, the classic Sufi story of Mullah Nasruddin out under a street lamp one evening, and on his hands and knees, and his friend comes along and says, "What you doing?" He said, "Well, I lost the key to my house." And so his friend helps him look for it for a while, and they're both on their hands and knees. And after a while, his friend says, "Oh, by the way, where did you think you lost the key?" Um, and he says, "Oh, in my house." And then so his friend says, "Why are we looking at it for it out here then?" And Nasruddin says, "Well, there's more light in there, more light out here."
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Uh,
the classic story, as it's probably been told many many ways, but
yeah,
that's it. I mean, we keep looking for love in all the wrong places, as the song says, right? Looking for truth outside in a dream of falsehood. There's nothing wrong with it, because it's really not, doesn't even exist. But that's a tough one to really integrate, and that's why the course, is a slow undoing process, isn't it?
It is. And it's so funny you tell that story because, I've known that story my whole life or since I was a young child,
Yeah.
not with Nasruddin, but with Bazooka Joe. And if anybody ever chewed bazooka gum, bazooka
Really?
bubble gum, it used to come with a little cartoon, and you'd unwrap it, and there'd be a little cartoon. And that exact thing, Bazooka Joe looking under a street lamp, and a friend comes up and says, "What are you looking for?" And he says, "I lost my key or whatever." And the friend said, "Oh, I'll help you look." And then he eventually says, "Well, where did you lose it?" And he said, "Oh, back there in the alley." And he says, "Why are we looking for it here?" He said, "Because the light is better."
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's a classic. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's probably been around for centuries because it's, a Sufi story. It was
yeah,
I first came across it in, I was taking some classes from Charlie Tart, who I understand just passed recently. Wonderful teacher. I had three different psych classes from him at UC Davis, and one of them we were reading a couple of books by Idries Shah. Let's see, I think The Wisdom of the Idiots and Tales of the Dervishes, I think were the two. So that little story was in one of those two books, and it really stuck with me.
yeah,
Uh,
those all those Din stories are so cool.
Yeah, they're fun. Well, one of my favorites, since we're on that that subject, was and there was a nice little cartoon drawn and for several of these little stories, was it shows a father and a son, and the father says to the son, "Son, you see double," and the son responds, "No, father, if I saw double, I'd see four moons up there instead of two."
Oh, that's
So
hilarious.
that's I think has a good mystical significance as well, symbolic portent.
That is very,
We're
very
we're we're
funny.
we're looking at duality, and we no, I'm not doing dualistic thinking. How could I be, right? Just my separate self, seeing what is outside me, right?
Yep, exactly. Um,
Oh, you know
yeah,
what? Well, I wanted to get back to uh, this poetry, and also Deb's comment about Ken. I was thinking when I first encountered Ken's work, I um, I actually had Forgiveness in Jesus. I bought it right after it came out, and I didn't even crack it till open till about almost a decade ago, just because I was put off by the cover of Jesus. And I flipped through it a little bit. It's like, and I had to kind of get back into the course after I studied it for a few years in the mid '80s. But then I really got into Ken's work when in Gary's Renard's first or second book, he was talking about Ken Wapnick, and I thought, oh gosh, I've got one of his books, and then I started resuming my study of Ken's work, and then I've plunged headlong into it, and I think I've listened to just about everything he's done in terms of audio, and the videos on the YouTube channel are also wonderful. And one of the things I found, if you listen to just the monologues of Ken's work, um, it sounds almost kind of dry, but even though what he's saying is just so impactful, I think in my personal experience, what I'm finding is that to the degree that I'm resisting what he's saying, I think I've used the almost academic tone and some of his monologue lectures as an excuse to tune it out, if that makes any sense. And then, but when he's interacting with people in the academy classes and the shorter sessions, and he's joking with people, I mean, his sense of humor is just fabulous.
oh yeah.
And then that levity and that the loving quality it comes across is so profoundly, and especially some of the videos where you just the people in the audience start laughing, and you see this wonderful smile, and
He was pretty funny.
oh,
He was
hilarious at times, yeah.
constantly joking with people,
Oh yeah,
laughing.
and doing little practical jokes. I mean, what the story Gary Renard tells is that he would go to some of Ken's talks, and Ken would grab his glasses and lick them and put them back on his face. Silly stuff. Mess up his hair.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think with the idea, I'm guessing it is to not take your personality or appearances too seriously.
yeah, absolutely.
Another friend named Jonathan went down. I never did. I missed meeting him by about a year and a half. I finally got down to Temecula one time when I was visiting my sister in Southern California. I thought, I got to get down there. And he'd already passed, but I thought, well, I just want to get down there anyway before they moved to Henderson, Nevada. And anyway, but a friend of mine, Jonathan, did make it down there and attended one of his classes, and um, they actually met in the men's room, and Ken said, "Hi, who are you?" And he says, "Oh, I'm Jonathan." Or no, he said, "I'm nobody," and and, and Ken responded, according to Jonathan's account, said, "Oh," Ken says, I'm nobody too. That's great."
Yeah, yes, yes.
So I
I
mean,
know what for you. Yeah.
yeah, and then there's several people in a lot of the other groups that I attend in on Zoom who have studied with Ken extensively. Tim Weisenlin Corona, Doug Sparks, Marissa Kunin. Let's see. Okay, several other people that I know have gone to uh, Ken's talks and experienced his work firsthand. But I feel like I know him better than I know a lot of people, maybe most other people, just because of the depth and breadth of his work is just so wonderful. And then here we are now finally reading his poetry, which is just profound. Yeah.
Yeah. And we know him because we're in love with the same person. We're in love with the same being. It's and
Yeah,
you
the
know that
person that's not a person.
yeah, that is what, we can read this and relate to it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking as you were speaking, and especially in regards to what Deb was saying, um, it is true that a lot, in fact, I don't know of, and I don't mean to be sexist here, but most of the male teachers that I listen to are very intellectual. And, I mean, there are a few that have that emotional connection, but, if you compare, I mean, I'm not going to compare teachers, other than to mention that, there are some, like Jennifer Hadley. I don't know if you've ever listened to her,
Uh-huh.
or, that it's
It's been a
some,
while, but I listened to a lot of her talks some years ago. Yeah.
there's more emotion or more connection with the love. And I think because of the times and because of the expectations, and especially because of our training and our indoctrination, it was really not acceptable for a man to get up and say, I love you and God loves you and love is all that's really real. And I mean, they could say that, but that impact of that feeling, that emotion, um, maybe didn't come through as clearly uh, as maybe they were experiencing it because of the language and the indoctrination and the way, and especially if you were, I mean, I don't know how many people have said, oh, I can't read that book, it's too intellectual.
Hmm.
And, I read that book and all I see is Jesus just loving us and begging us to please come home, and offering us so much emotional and heartfelt gratification.
Mhm.
When I read the course, I hear Jesus begging me, please. And Ken
Yeah.
talks about this too. Jesus is begging you to do this.
Yeah.
He
But
loves you.
there's no coercion whatsoever. There's no expectation, and it's really, I think, um, in a sense, it's written in a way that, like, and Ken has talked about this in so much of his work too, is that, like, the course uses language that meets us where we're at, and because we are the ones that feel the longing, it basically says things like, God weeps and misses us, and things like that that are obviously metaphoric. God doesn't have tear ducts, and God doesn't even know he left. But the kind thing to say to a little kid is that, your parents miss you, and
Right.
yeah.
They love you and they miss you. And
Yeah.
and uh the idea of uh God just holding us in his heart. Of course,
Mhm.
God doesn't have a heart, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But we look at it um as if it were something foreign instead of something loving. And maybe that's why now people are going really into the idea of the mother and the feminine divine. And, I hear a lot of talk about that now as well. And, people
Oh
seem
yeah.
to be wanting to move in that direction. But, it's if you can't find it in A Course in Miracles, if it doesn't affect your heart, um, I'm thinking maybe, you are reading it with some sort of a veil over your eyes.
Mhm.
Just like you couldn't read this poem and say, oh, well, this is just too intellectual. You'd be like, oh, my love, oh, beloved mine, take me forever into your arms, that being consumed by you, I become like you. I mean, that is like, pure, if someone wrote me a poem like that or a love letter, I would probably, well, I don't know. I'm so cynical. I'd probably say, huh? Did you get us off of AI? Did
Or
you
a
Google
Hallmark
this?
card a few years
Oh,
back.
yeah. Yeah. So, oh, yeah, Hallmark card or whatever. So, yeah, that's just because I have this very sadly, very cynical streak in me that it kind of looks with, like, huh?
Well,
It
I
isn't
as
that.
you're saying that, Len, I was thinking, well, I mean, the being disillusioned or cynical is actually, uh, if you give it to the ego, it's depressing. But
Yes,
if you give an honest evaluation of the world to the Holy Spirit, it just says nothing here.
right.
Move along, not the droids you're looking for, basically.
Exactly. Not the droids you're looking for. I love that. Yeah.
Well, it's
So,
probably not the
okay.
best metaphor, but anyway.
Well, it still works because it's true. All right. So you want to read this next poem?
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Oh Jesus, even these words I speak to you cannot be truth, for they have us both as still separate and apart. And yet, my love, they speak for truth. For what greater gift does this world offer than this? The love which lifts my imprisoned soul to you, that you return with me unto our God. O Jesus, take these words on winged flight as they rise up through prison doors, released from guilt's dark locks, the guardians of hate, now all undone as I come home with you. O Jesus, Jesus, what gifts does this world give that from my soul deep need receives? Only you, dear Jesus, does this world mean to me. And thus words born in hell become transformed in you, as rapture's waves of love disappear into the love, capital L, that embraces all things in itself, with a capital I. Yeah. And
Yeah.
there it's obviously he was talking about the two levels there that, you know, the, the world on this level by itself doesn't mean anything because it's the meaning is completely stripped away when we perceive things as separate. And the very first line of the poem says, the words I speak to you can't be the truth, but they have us both as still separate and apart. And the Course meets us where we're at and presents Holy Spirit and God as people, the element almost, even though it says it many times that there's nothing physical about truth, um, or the reflection of truth, but that it meets us where we're at so we can have something we can relate to and grow into and through and beyond.
Yeah. And I don't know when this particular poem or these particular poems were written. I'm assuming maybe before the course because those others were, but yeah, this deep connection with Jesus is so heartfelt.
Hmm.
And I mean, he didn't go to some kind of evangelical pep rally where, people were jumping up and down and singing Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. He did this in his apartment with a giant picture of Jesus standing against the wall. The thing was like 4 by 6 or something, huge.
I think as you're sharing that, I'm thinking, what we read over the past few weeks in the first part of this book, kind of gives an account of what I think a lot of us have done in one fashion or another, and to one degree or another, is basically find symbols that we can relate to, and they become our initially our idols and our archetypes for and models for what we want to grow into, and then we realize that in order to really achieve the peace that we want, or have it be restored to us more accurately, we have to go beyond the symbol, beyond the form, beyond the icon, beyond the the shape and the size and color and all the characteristics of a specific. And it's obvious that Ken has documented this journey from symbol to source very beautifully here.
Yeah. 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 There's no doubt in my mind, contrary to what so many people say, that Ken had a deep connection with Jesus.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And it was the formation of so much of his thought, and
yeah,
so uh the reason he did the things that he did
yeah. And
was
not the historical Jesus or the biblical Jesus, that this is a living uh, uh, being in his mind that is initially a symbol but goes beyond symbol to reality, that it represents the complete undoing of duality. And it, not just not just intellectually. I mean, it's pretty obvious from anyone who's really looked at his work in any depth that, it isn't just an intellectual thing. And as he points out, it's ultimately meaningless until we make it a part of us and practice it and make the course alive in our hearts and minds, rather than just wow, great theory. I should try this someday.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So how about I read this next one?
Sure,
And by the
sure.
way, it just, as I was reading, happy spring, everybody.
That's right. We're the first full day of spring, huh?
Spring is here. Oh
Yep.
my goodness.
Yep.
So yeah.
How appropriate.
So here, my heart sings out in bursts of joy, in words of love that ring to heaven's gate. Your love fills every breath I take, and every step but echoes forth the sounds of you, my love, who walk by my side. I go into the world, yet do not go alone, for you are with me always, and all thoughts of pain and fear but disappear into the safe protection of your beloved arms. Beloved, how can I still my heart that cannot cease its unceasing hymns to you? How to tell this heart it can no longer burst its slender chains that barely hold it here on earth? Surely you do not ask this of a heart that is your own. Surely, love, you welcome its bursts of song into your life, wedded in love that reaches beyond all other love, climbing ever higher in mounting streams of melody until together our two hearts become the one and disappear into the love that is no more, being only love. So beautiful. And
Hmm.
it reminds me of like the poems of Rumi.
I was thinking the same thing on several of these. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that, that deep longing for the thing that is the essence of our heart.
And it's even beyond longing. It's in a sense, it's really expressing a connection with the ineffable, and an appreciation and a recognition that it's not it's a really a direct experience of that, rather than just a realization that that's what we want. It's like that's what we are. Having and being are the same, as of course tells us, and that's the experiential quality that comes across in these poems.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And just imagine, Ken sitting in his little apartment that was like a monk's cell, really, not even the comforts. I think he had maybe a couch and a bed and a table and not much in his apartment, really. And just being there and just burning up with the fire of love for a source, Jesus, who, as you said, is not the love of a man, but the love of a being that is so wholly consumed by love that, it everywhere it goes, it just, drops flames of love everywhere. And, I just can see this as so beautiful.
I'm laughing only because I've used the metaphor of a blame thrower as the ego's one of the ego's chief weapons. That and I found inspiration with Calvin and Hobbes, and Calvin wanted to have a flamethrower, and I actually saw a flamethrower when I was a kid in operation. When I My dad would take me up to this hunting property in Northern California, about 3 hours or so from where we lived, uh, from Livermore to Mendocino County, and a couple thousand acres in wilderness between Boonville and Ukiah, California, and we'd get up there, and if it was if we happened to be there in the springtime, which we were there a few times. Didn't do as much hunting then, but it was more of a kind of a work weekend kind of a thing. There was other guys that were in the hunting club, and one of them had they were clearing brush that would come, so they'd have burns for the deer to run in, and also provide new feed for them as well. But they were controlled burns. But there's one guy had a flamethrower, and I was noticing that the way this thing worked, it was like constantly dripping little blobs of fire everywhere,
Yeah.
and and I was thinking, well, that's kind of what our egos do all the time. And it's like, well, okay, I'm upset with this, or I don't like that, and I wish this was different. And every little irritation, no matter how small or seemingly large, it's like our mind's blame thrower just dripping fire everywhere. It's like I'm going to destroy this because it isn't to my liking. And it's obviously addressed and attacking seeming what seem to be other people, even though they're, of course, reminds us that the alleged others are just in my mind as symbols of what I'm doing with my mind, as well as
Yeah.
all the seemingly inanimate objects and non-living, quote unquote, things that populate our dreams of duality.
Exactly. And think about it, if you saw yourself as being a flamethrower of love, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
dripping everywhere you go is dripping flames of love everywhere you go, and bursting everything else into fire, taking the dry kindling of the uh the weary souls and burning it away. It's like in that the book, that one of the ones that James Twyman just wrote, and he says, does I'm going to butcher this completely, but does the candle, does the wick mourn its loss when it's burned by the flame of love? Is the wick's over here saying, "Oh man, I don't want to be burned up by the flame of love." No, that's the purpose of the wick. And the wick doesn't mourn that. It becomes the flame. And that's what we are. We are the wick
And
being burned
we're all documenting the process in our inner Wikipedia, right?
in our Wikipedia. Wiki. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I love this. It's so beautiful. And again, this could be a song.
I think we've got time to read one more.
Yeah, let's read one more. These are exclamations. Um, I'll read this one, and if there's another, we can read
Okay.
it. Okay. Oh, beloved, since first I tasted the bliss of that first kiss, when I at last found you for whom I had yearned since time began. There could never be another love whose love could claim my soul. Oh, dearest one, how painful life becomes when I forget where you are and stumble wildly in the night, alone and haunted by an unremembered kiss. Oh, love of loves, I call into this lightless world. Return to free me from my hell of life alone. Oh, love, I cry, touch but my deepest pain and free me that I may be with you again. Your love is quiet, beloved, its caresses gentle in the comfort that they bring. The ardor of my soul, burning with desire, is tenderly met in your stillness with the love that is beyond all love, the all-consuming flame that is a flame no more. Oh, dearest, how still all becomes in your embrace. How sweet the sounds I hear, transformed through you, who lead me to yourself, that disappearing into your heart, I become that heart, that quiet place where I rest eternally in you. Dearest love, embrace me with the love that fills my soul and leaves all pain and suffering behind. What harm can come to threaten me when I rest safely in your arms? Oh, dearest one, I cling to you, and on your breast I lie, that all my fear would pass away, with nothing left but love, the love that means all things to me, the love I find in you, the love you are.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And the gentleness and the ardor and all these, you know, uh, seemingly romantic words, really it's the romance of the soul, the ardor of my soul. And which is, you know, I think, the course doesn't use the word soul much because it tends to be associated with a specific, but it's really, the spirit that is what we all long to return to, is that all-encompassing. And we don't even know what we think we've thrown away. We just know that we somehow find ourselves, like lesson 182 is another one of those places where that poetry comes to the fore, and we realize, gosh, what I think I must have given up something because I feel like I'm a stranger here. I can't. I know there's a home, but I don't know where to get back. How to get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we long for it. We've all longing for it for I know me for my whole life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
No.
that's. I think every one of us can see that thread of longing for a true completion and a true reuniting of what we think we lost to us, and it's never the form, even though that our egos try to convince us in so many ways it's about the form. It's always about the content of innocence, the content of a total acceptance and total innocent perception that our identity has never been compromised. Should I read this last little one and then we'll call it
Sure.
a week? Very short. How to give voice to my love for you. How to say the words my heart alone knows true. How to speak, dear Jesus, the thoughts of gratitude that fill me as I feel your life flow once again through my veins through veins that fear had closed. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, how full my heart becomes when you return, when all my fear steps back to let you in. My bursting heart that fills with love becomes a tongue of fire that speaks my love for you. Yeah, quite a bit different than so much of Ken's writing, isn't it?
It
Needless to
really
say.
is.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Uh, I
it-
mean,
it's just,
I can't even imagine if he had stood up there on that podium and spoken these kinds of words, how soon people would be walking out. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But maybe it would become like a revival and a come to Jesus, um,
yeah,
feeling and hearing those heartfelt call to the heart. Really, that's it. It's a call to the heart.
yeah, it is. It is. Yep. And we're all calling that uh, ultimately to ourselves, even if it seems like we reach out to the others. Yep.
Absolutely, yes. So I will mark this,
Yep.
and I'd like to see if there is a, let me look here and see.
Like the dates when these were.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It may be in the back somewhere.
maybe in the, yeah, it could very well be.
Yeah. Well, thanks as always, Lynn. I always enjoy our conversations. This is kind of a fun turn in this particular book that we're going into,
Yeah.
and look forward to picking up next week.
All
And
right. Thank you so much, Bruce. Love
thank you,
you,
Lynn, and
brother.
thanks all. Have a great week. Love to all, and look forward to picking up next week.
All right. Love you, Bruce.
Likewise. Bye for now.
Get out there and enjoy that spring.
Yeah, we got in the park next to us. We've got all these cherry trees blossoming. It's just really wonderful. So, yep.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
my
Thanks to
my
all.
allergies are well aware of
No,
that.
that's right. All right.
All
Let's
right.
look forward to next week. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bruce.
Bye for now.
Let me see.